All right, dads, we're out on the deck today. It is very November out here. It's wet, it's cold, and kind of miserable, which are the perfect conditions to test a headlamp. Wuben Lighting sent me the H4. Let's crack this open. And if this package is what I think it is, tonight's going to get a whole lot brighter. Durable dads, brothers from other mothers, and sisters from different misters, thanks for tuning in. Let's dig into some real gear, fitting real dad budgets, and get our real field test time on. Today, we're looking at the Wuben H4 headlamp. And yeah, we're going to stay here on the deck because the yard is basically a bog right now. Here's the plan. We're going to unbox this beast, charge it, mess with the modes, and then step into the November gloom to see if it actually earns a spot in the Dead Venture kit. Because we all know the drill. Outhouse runs, starting the morning fire, late night snack rummaging, taking the kids to potty in the dark. This is what dads actually use headlamps for. All right, let's crack this thing open. I must confess, it's been kind of sitting here a little bit for a little while, and I've been wanting to get to it, but life's just been a little busy. So anyways, straight from the manufacturer to me. Very nice, very nice. Okay, what have we got? Right on, here we go. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's all nicely packaged. Bubble wrap. That's awesome for everything. Okay, what do we got here? This looks like a hat. Very awesome. The Wuben rep said this might actually happen. And it did. So before we get to the main prize, let's open this. Easy Carry Light Innovator. Very nice. All right, you guys. All right. Guess what's going to be worn later? Anyways, let's put this aside. Put my knife away. That was not required. Oh, maybe it is. All right, and here we got the real deal. Oh, by the way, thanks to the rep for this. I appreciate it very much. All right, let's crack this. Safety seal. All right, that should have it. Perfect. Nicely packaged like that with the whole headlamp over the head. Their specs, we'll get into that a little bit later. You'll get a spec sheet popping up on screen. All right, there's that. Set that aside. The instructions, which I pretend I don't need, but will secretly read later. Okay. Let's get this out of the way. Yoink. Anyways, that box is nice. That'll be a good fire starter for later. And here's the real deal. Okay. The sticker, there's the unit. And in here would probably be the strap. You bet. USB charger. USB-C. Thanks very much. Okay. And here is the strap. Seems very adjustable. I'll have to play with this later to make sure that it fits. Yeah, we're not going to get into this now, but it's very stretchy. Looks pretty comfortable. Match up with the hat, quite nice. All right. And the unit itself, it looks like it has tape over top. Nope. Okay. So there it is. That opens. From what I understand, you open it up and it's got, well, I'll fiddle with that too a little bit later. I guess that's the sticker that needs to come off so we can't get at the guts. All right, perfect. Okay, It should open up for us. Oh yeah, here we go. Because from what I have been told is that this model is rechargeable. Let's see where that is. Now let's see if this came with a charge from the factory. It does not appear. So, nope, okay. It's a nice little unit. I'm giving it to you there. It's really light. It's a nice tactile feel. It's black. That never goes out of fashion. Now, what I'm doing is pulling back this tab. It looks like that's how it opens. And I have yet to succeed to get it open. So let's stop doing that and fiddling with it, because that's a little bit more difficult and a waste of your time. This should be USB chargeable. Now, I have not been able to locate that at first blush here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this away. I'm going to give it a charge. This takes 3 AAAs from what I understand too. So this is the unboxing. Here is the cable. This works for me. Okay. Headlamp, the swanky hat, and the unit itself. So let's chalk it up to let's go to the next steps, which is figuring this thing out and throwing a charge on it. I'll be back. Catch you next clip. Hey kids, Durable Dads here, bringing you real gear tests, dad-approved tips, and adventures that actually work. If you're one of the 86% watching but not subscribed, hit that button. It's one click for you, and it keeps this party rolling. And we're back. Okay, in order to save you some time and less fiddling, I got this thing opened and I figured it out. Okay, I was on the right track. So essentially what was happening is I was trying to get this back open. This is obviously so you can pivot the headlamp once it's got the strap on, which I haven't done yet. I haven't fully charged that. But this case does open like this. Okay, so I just wasn't doing it the right way and I hadn't figured it out, but it's like this. So together it's going to look like this, right? And then you're just going to want to take that apart to pivot it on your head. And then in order to get this charged, you open it up and take the batteries out. I don't know how well you can see this, but what happens is the battery fits in and has its own USB charging on the battery itself. So the battery is a separate unit. So if this conks out, you take it out and charge it, or huck it in your pocket, your pack, or whatever, and you insert the 3 AAAs into here. So it's dual use. That is super handy. I really like that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just demonstrate how to put it back together like this, I think. Oh, it is so. There we go. Snap, snap. Okay. Oh, and it has some juice on it already. Ta-da! Okay. Turn it back off. Snap it back on. All right, and there it is. Here's, I think this is for your spotlight 2. This is for the other spotlight or the floodlight. Anyways, I'll go through them after. I just wanted to play with my toy here for a bit, but there it is. Let's give this a full charge, wait for dark to descend, and we'll go through it. All right, you guys, we're back. It is twilight, which is probably about the best time to catch the light modes. We're going to do a quick little run through before full dark and we get the field test. Anyways, I did something unprecedented and actually grabbed the instructions here, which gives me a little bit of a cheat sheet. I'm not going to run through every mode right away, but I'll do my best. Quickly, before we get to this, I'm going to give you a couple of specs here 800 lumens, long battery life. It's waterproof and dustproof, IP68. Also impact resistant, so if you drop it from a few feet, 1.3 meters. Okay, so what is that, 4 or 5 feet? It's going to survive. So it'll take the abuse. Anyways, I'll figure out the strap a little bit later. Here we go. Now, you can't see this, but there's 2 buttons up top. There's one's the circle, the other one's kind of like the dots. Anyways, here we go. All right, I hope I'm not blinding you. That's the one spotlight. Now we can turn that off. One click. One click turns the floodlight on, which is super bright. Okay. Also, you'll see at the bottom, which will be activated. See that blue light? That's saying that you're completely like a full charge. Okay, and it will turn red as you run out of charge. Okay, there we go. Now, back to settings. All right. Circle button. 1. Okay. And I think that turns it off. 2. Oh my God, that turns them both on. Oh, okay. You know what? That's we have ways of making you talk, like level of superpowers here. Click it. 2 clicks again. It takes it back down. Okay. Hold it down, which turns on the turbo with only just the 1. Okay. Let's turn that off. All right. Woo. So these are buttons that are on top when it's positioned. So don't believe me when I'm doing this now. All right, now this little circle's the grid. Okay, that turns on the floodlight. Let's hold it down. Okay, turns up into turbo mode. All right, let's click it again. That turns it off. Okay, let's turn it on. Okay, 2 clicks turns on both. Another 2 clicks turns off both. Now, holding them both together does... okay, no, you turn it on, I think, and then you hold both down for 1.5 seconds. Or... nope. Okay. So that turns that on. Now let's hold them both down at the same time is what you're supposed to do. Both buttons up top. 1.5 seconds. No. Okay. So what we're supposed to be doing is turning the motion sensor on, which isn't that. Okay. And that switches back and forth between the two. Okay. I think I hear somebody in the background here. Don't ignore that. Concentrate on my voice. One voice from the corner. Okay. Anyways, let's do this. Waha. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to hold down both that. Oh, that turns on turbo. What I want to do is get motion sensor here, which is there at the bottom. So we hold those two apparently down at the same time, so they say. Okay, so where are we situated here? Let's turn it around so I'm not blinding myself and others. Okay. Okay. So what have we got? That, different lumens. Okay, now we have gesture on. Okay. So if I go like this, boom, turns it on or off. So really what you're doing, boom, boom. Very cool. Now we turn that on. That turns the other one on. So once you're in this mode, You just switch back and forth between what you want and then use gesture mode. Okay, let's try that again. Yes. Okay, mastery. As a little aside, as soon as I cut that clip, I figured it out. Okay, so you hold down the circle button, which is the main power button, for a couple of seconds to turn on the beacon. Ta-da! Look at that. Okay, and this is how you start changing the frequency of it. Okay, so it's blinking. Now you can go into the other, use the other button to change your frequencies, or to have it on. Turn it like that, flashing, super fast. Okay, and then that. Gesture mode does not work in this that I'm aware of, unless I try holding both buttons down for a little bit now. Nope, but anyways, you hold down the circle button again, and it's off. Ta-da. Okay, kids, it's time to test out the H4 in the wild. Well, in the backyard kind of wild anyways. All right, first up. Crucially, we want to know how easy this thing is to operate when you're half asleep and have to go potty at like 3 o'clock in the morning and running on like 3 hours sleep. Okay, first off. Not bad. Okay, so that's the main light. Okay, let's turn this up a bit. Ooh, turbo mode. Back down. Okay. Let's turn on the other one, the flood lamp. Okay, that's the flood lamp. Let's go for turbo. Whoops, that's not turbo. That's turbo. All right, now let's see how the gesture mode works. All right, does that work? Nope. Let's try this. Okay, it's on. All right. Oh, hey, all right, we got it. Okay, let's try this again. Gesture. Oh, little wave, okay. So that's going to be a little bit closer down. So let's try that again. Whoosh. Okay. Perfect. Gesture mode is on. Boop. All right. Is this cool? Is this going to be the next headlamp in my kit? Will I be using my other headlamps anymore? Okay. Gesture off. Okay, let's turn this back on because we want to try getting experimental here. I find the beacon mode the hardest thing to try and get going here. Okay, so I'm going to maybe cut this short because this is getting a little wild and crazy. I'm going to give it a little bit one more time. Okay, there's the spotlight, and I think that's got both on. So let's check that. Oh, there we go. That switches it over and off. So here's how this is going to roll out. You're half asleep. You're probably going to want to turn it on before you put it on. But let's say you've got it on. It's dark. You're kicking around. You want something going on. You're going to want to go like this and then hit it click twice to get your floodlight. You can change over your modes. Okay. That one. That one's going to probably be the one you want. So you're going to want to hit the grid. So because that one gives you the best. Now, chances are you're going to want to probably, if you're going to be off and on and doing stuff back and forth, okay, and you got it kicking around, you're going to probably want to turn it on. And then hit gesture mode, which I'm not doing properly because you know what? It's dark, it's on my head, and I haven't set it properly. So here's what I suggest. Since we're here and we're standing here, my recommendation would be try not to do this on the fly. Have it set, and then you can turn it on to gesture mode if you need it. Smart thing to do, now that I'm thinking about it, is to leave it in gesture mode and then turn it off. And then when you go to use it, gesture back and forth and turn it on so you can put it on. That might be the smart thing to do. That's pretty cool. And then you leave it and it's not burning out your battery. Anyways, this works great. I hope the visual gag of going back and forth actually translated. Did it? Or yes. Anyways, there we go. It's a cold November night. My breath is just steaming, and you can't tell that necessarily from that view. But you know what? Enough of the preamble. Let's get to the next clip. All right, some quick thoughts on this H4 here. Okay, first off, you saw me struggle with it. I mean, it works awesome. And this is bar none the coolest headlamp I've ever owned. Tons of features, super bright at 800 lumens with the floodlight and both turned on. It's going to turn night into day. However, my recommendation is to turn it on, set it for gesture mode, turn it off, and leave it that way. Probably what you're going to want to do is if you're hanging in your tent and you're going to want it for 3 a.m., a potty trip or getting snacks, just be able to wave at it, turn it on. Far more practical that way. You're not going to want to try and mess around with different settings in the middle of the night or in a situation where you're half asleep. However, and I would have to say it's harder to, because it's so complex, to learn the patterns of the buttons, and trying to do that while it's on your head, not so easy. So that's some real talk. My recommendation would be to take it off, put it on the settings that you want, put it back on, because there's a learning curve. I look forward to the journey to learning how to use this really intuitively. Again, it's not just a turn it on, turn it off, you're ready to rock and roll. This is more advanced, but you know what, for everyday use, have the gesture mode on, make it easy for yourself, dads. As for the rest of it, just play with it, and it works great. I'm incredibly happy with it. Another thing that I would like to add is that I'm not going to get way too into details, because I'm going to let the lighting geeks take care of that, and other reviewers get more into the tech specs. For what you need it for in the moment and with the kids, it's got that covered in spades. For the more complex stuff, and if you want to geek out, it's got that covered in spades, but you're going to want to do that when it's taken off and it's in your hand and you make the settings. For right away, have the gesture mode on. One setting, it's good to go. Or to change settings, way more simple with the buttons on your head. Last piece of this is that, again, with the hat, I can pretty much guarantee that I'm the only guy within 100 miles that has Wuben brand apparel. So I'm going to add that to the Adventure Kit flex pile for sure. Another thanks again. All right, let's get this video over with. I also got to add that this thing's comfortable, the strap is grippy, and it's ergonomic. Anyways, what importantly, the Black Friday sale. Wuben's got the H4 at 20% off from November 20th to December 1st. They sent me links for the official store and Amazon, which I'm including down in the description. Using them helps the channel and costs you nothing extra. All right, real talk. Does the H4 here earn a spot in the Adventure Kit? Hell yes. Easy yes. This thing is bright, sturdy, weather ready, and dad practical. And you know what? If you want more dad friendly gear tests, hit like. or continue enjoying watching me wander around with gadgets in the cold November air. So here's me keeping the gear dirty, soggy, misty, and cold. And the coffee, not at this hour though, warm. All right, peace out, Scout.